What's up? It's Ben here, and in this video, we're going to talk boundaries. So boundaries are one of the things that I see missing in so many guys. Now, this is something that's very important as a salesperson, as a business owner. It's very, very important in your personal relationships, romantic, with friends, with family. And I want to share my philosophy on this. So, okay, where do I begin? So, this is the thing. I've been on these sales calls with guys, and we're selling this dating offer, and they all have the same problem. 99% of these guys have the same problem. Okay, so I want you to stick with me here because anything that involves dating almost always applies to business and sales. So these guys tell me that their main issue is that they go on a date with a girl, and when a guy is in scarcity, they have this girl in front of them who is like, let's say, higher quality than they're used to. They start over investing, right? They start showering her with attention and time, and they're trying to take her on dates and do all this cool stuff. And all that does is communicate to the girl that this guy actually has weak boundaries. Okay, so in business, if I were to learn this back in 2016 when I first really got started on this journey, I would have made so much more money, because one of the biggest things that business people have in general is that they get taken advantage of, right? You're probably, I don't know you, but you might be in a situation where you are having people come to you asking you for stuff, right? Let's say you have employees, and the boundaries are very clear between you hiring a person and like them working for you. Like, basically what people try to do is get more and more out of you, right? And once the relationship becomes one-sided, it's not like a 50-50 exchange, that's where the problem happens, right? In relationships, basically what happens is you guys might hit it off, but if you overinvest, then they just start pulling back. And you might start off 50-50, but as you get more excited about this person, you put more energy into them, they take that energy and don't give it back, and all that does is deplete you. And to go back to the business context with employees and you, the employer, they'll try to do less work for more money over time, right? Or it could go the other way, where like a boss or a business owner tries to get more out of their employees for less, right? This is there's another example of this when you're a freelancer. It's called scope creep. I used to deal with this. So somebody will say, hey, here's $500 to write me an email campaign. And you're like, okay, cool. And then they'll go, oh, can you throw in like a Facebook ad? Or can you throw in like some landing page copy or something like that? And they're not talking about giving you more money. And people with weak boundaries will be like, oh yeah, sure, for sure. Because they want that relationship, okay? They want the money, and the person suddenly feels like the buyer-seller dynamic is in their favor, where they're like, oh, I can just keep asking from this person. I can keep taking from this person. And so the ratio of give to take, it was equal at the original deal, but now they're taking more than they're giving. Okay. So hopefully you're following me so far. So if somebody says this to you and you're working with clients, oh, hey, can you also do this? And they're not offering to give you more money. All you got to say is, yeah, that's a different deal, right? Very simple. Now, there's a few exercises I want to share with you to help you figure this stuff out. So number one, okay, close your eyes. Now imagine you're in a field and you're surrounded by boundaries. What do you see? What does it look like? Now this is really interesting because there's two parts to boundaries, but for me, the first time I did this exercise, I kind of pictured like a chain link fence, maybe about 6 feet high. Some people, they're surrounded by huge walls, prison walls. Some people, it's just a little wooden fence. You can just hop over it. Now, the interesting thing is, this is a direct representation of your boundaries, right? So some people see mountains and they have the strongest boundaries. And typically what you'll find is that the most successful people have very, very strong boundaries. Like, they're perfectly comfortable asking for what they're worth. They have no problem asking for like 20K and fully demanding it. So this is where it goes into sales. People have weak boundaries. They don't really feel like they're worth that much. It's really hard for them to ask for money. And so here's the thing: when you close your eyes and you visualize if it was a tiny fence or like a chain link fence, what that means is that people can easily like come through it. So here's the thing: if it's like, let's say it's around it's not over your head, but it's around your own height. This also means that you might have boundaries there, but you don't have boundaries within your mind, right? So ideas can freely get into your mind and get you distracted and confused. And this is like almost everybody, right? I've done videos before on my Instagram talking about the difference between the 1% and the 99%. The 99%, they just let ideas come in from every single other person. They really don't have any independent thought. And you can see this over 2020, right? Like people just are pretty much following the herd. And so the 1%, they have super strong boundaries in the sense that they're just not listening to everybody, right? They know what they're worth. They're going after the deals that they want, and they're not letting ideas kind of like get into if you think of it like a garden, they're not letting weeds fall into their garden. They're just like very protected with themselves. So this is the first thing you gotta do is understand that different people should be close to you and other people should be further away, right? So your family should be the closest people to you. If you have kids, they're probably the only people that should have 100% access to you. Maybe like your spouse. And then the other people will be like your immediate family, right? Maybe brother, sister, mom, dad. And sometimes that could be toxic too. And from there, it's like friends, acquaintances, maybe clients, and then everybody else. Like too many people, if they have weak boundaries, they just can be like swayed by everybody else. And that's what we don't want, okay? And so when you think of it in terms of like a romantic relationship, typically what happens is at the beginning, everything is amazing, right? You are in like the infatuation stage. You are in like the honeymoon phase, or you basically have what's called the halo effect around the other person, where you only see the good with them. And on a scale of 1 to 10, everything's like a 10 out of 10. You're like, man, I really love everything about this person. And then eventually you guys have maybe your first fight, or you start noticing things that you don't like. And after that first fight, the ratio goes from 10, like all positive, to like 9 positive, like 1 negative, right? And over time, this ratio flips. And eventually you guys are fighting all the time and you guys hate each other and you're breaking up, right? Like as soon as it goes from like over, like let's say it goes below 5 negative, that basically means it's a toxic relationship. And now this person is draining your energy, right? So this is the ultimate exercise here, is that you want to take a pen and piece of paper or open a Google Doc and write out all the relationships in your life. And on a scale of 1 to 10, you really want to ask yourself, how much of this is positive and how much of this is negative? How much is this giving to me energy-wise and value in terms of maybe money or good feelings, whatever? And how much is this taking from me? And when you hear this, the common advice, it's like you gotta surround yourself with, people that are like uplifting, and like you're the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. That's very true. Like if all of your friends are a bunch of like takers and losers and stuff like that, I mean, they're just going to be holding you back because everyone around you is like just taking your energy, right? So this is the thing that we need to reclaim. Number one, like when people perceive that you have a strong set of boundaries, you're basically like a source of energy for them that they can like leech off of, a source of value for them, and they will try to take that. Which is why if you're trying to be successful, let's say that you actually make it. Let's say that you start making millions of dollars. Well, then you're just going to be like a huge lamp, and they're all like little moths trying to like get into the light. But we need to set up these boundaries now, wherever you're at in your success or in your career or in your relationships. We need to set this up now before you get there. And so just audit all the relationships in your life. Like we audit every other area, like our weight, our bank account, but we never really audit our relationships. And once you figure this out, you might realize that, like my cousin is really, a really negative influence on my life. Oh, this friend is like a really negative influence. Maybe it's your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whoever, right? Maybe it's your parents. you have to be okay with like pushing them out, right? I'm not saying you got to cut them off completely, but like if you think about it like concentric circles, right? Like you want to keep the people that are the best relationships. And in other words, they're giving you the most energy, right? There's an equal like 50-50 exchange. You want to keep those people close, and the ones that are more takers, so they're more like toxic, if you will, you just want to keep them as far away as possible, right? And so that's boundaries. Now, there's a lot of stuff that kind of goes in here, you know, in sales, like the buyer-seller dynamic, but I can tell you this, like most closers that are weak closers have very weak boundaries. They're very easily swayed by prospects, right? They're very easily like price, like like the prospect goes, oh, can you do it for less? And then they just buckle. They're like, oh yeah, I can definitely do that, da da da. Now, there's no like sales tactic out there that can fix this. So the only thing you can do is focus on strengthening your boundaries. And just like the video about high status communication, like I can show you where to look, but to actually just teach you how to have better boundaries in a simple YouTube video, it's never gonna happen. So I'd have to like work with you one-on-one, but all I can do is just make you aware that this is most likely a problem for you, because like I said, it's really a problem for like 99% of people. And the people that are already successful, part of that success is the fact that they either have consciously thought of this and worked on these boundaries, or it's unconscious, right? So with that said, I hope you got something out of this. Hopefully I didn't just ramble. It is kind of late here, but I will see you in the next one, and comment below what you liked, what you didn't like, and make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next time.